This is Reyes, your school counselor. I'm going to read Personal Laboratories from Chapter 8. Zachary led them up to the ivory-covered ramp to the upper level of the western wing of the mall where he said with the utmost boredom they would find their personal laboratories. He didn't offer to carry Teresa's spider or pull Ashley's wagon full of algae or lugs or lug John's 6-foot-tall wooden bubble maker. Teresa didn't mind carrying her spider, but it would have been proper Southern manners for their host to have at least offered. As they walked, Zachary pointed out the different rooms and their intended purposes. Each room, once a former store, was locked with a solid metal gate pulled down from the ceiling. Above each gate was the room's new name spelled out, like the sign above the front doors in a mismatched letters recycled from stores they used to occupy the paper mill mall. Zachary walked slowly as if to deliberately dull their excitement. To our left is plastics. You'll see 3 large bins by its gate. If you have any plastic refuse at home, they can't be recycled. Please bring it tomorrow. We will go through 20 bins a day and we always use more. You need unrecyclable plastic? What for? Ashley asked curiously. The thing inside, it eats it. Zachary replied, it always hungry. John pulled his ear up to the metal gate. There's something growling in there. You should know it also devours children. Let's keep moving. Teresa wanted to take a listen to, but she also didn't want to miss anything. She couldn't wait to see her laboratory. She wondered which of the former stores it would be. The shoe store, 10 East, one of the pet stores, the goofy souvenir shop, Dexter's. There were so many possibilities. As they walked, Teresa marveled at how much nature thrived inside the laboratory. Every former store is now surrounded by trees, flowers, and bushes. Everywhere were birds, squirrels, and even bees. There were no longer need of electric lighting. Sunlight poured in through the skylights. There was no longer need for soft ambient shopping music and the calming rush of water surrounding them. It was if nature and technology had finally learned how to live together in harmony, even if it is this building. This room is for the drones, Zachary said, waving to his left casually without stopping. Sure enough, in unlit neon letters taken from the old food court restaurants, the room was aptly labeled drones. Again, John put his ear to the gate. I hear them. Ashley and Teresa couldn't resist pressing their ears to the metal. Teresa did hear a buzzing that grew louder, then receded, then grew louder again, as if their drones inside were flying in circles. Of course you hear them, Zachary said. They're always flying. We don't turn them off. We can't turn them off. Never go in this room. The awful things have caused too many accidents in the laboratory already. Each room was locked with a padlock. Teresa had never seen locks so large. Instead of a simple lock and small keypads, they were large, glowing, colored wheels the size of pizzas. They were set into the right side of each gate. The locks reminded her of her old electronic memory game, Simon, except these discs were comprised of 3 wedges instead of 4. The wedges were red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and shades in between. On closer examination, she saw that each wedge was labeled with an animal and its silhouette. Born and raised in South Carolina, Teresa immediately recognized that all the animals were native to her state. There was an American alligator, scary, red-tailed hawk, blue crab, loggerhead sea turtle. She's seen only baby loggerheads in real life, scurrying to find the ocean by moonlight. A great egret, the prettiest one, the copperhead snake, scarier, bobcat, redfish, her dad's favorite, boykin spaniel, her favorite, black-tip shark, the scariest, and bottle-nosed dolphin, smart, super smart, and friendly, and a pig frog, cute, and the cannonball jellyfish, many of which she has seen washed up on the Foley Beach. It was really the coolest lock she ever seen. She wanted to start pressing the wedges. She wondered why anyone would keep a keypad lock so tempting. But then she had to ask herself why most locks were so boring. If you must have a lock on your door, why not make it colorful and a creative one as this one? And here we have John's laboratory. All three children gasped out loud. His name had been spelled out in 3 large letters above the entrance. J-O-N, John. Teresa recognized the oversized J that had been borrowed from one of the department store's J.M. quarters. John laughed with delight and ran inside. It's a bubble maker surprise. His lab had once been a Cindy Cinnamon Buns. The ovens, chairs, and the goofy pink and white decorations have been removed, but the large counters and sinks remained. There was all the space a master bubble maker could want. In addition, Dr. Flax had provided John a wide assortment of tools and equipment to allow his imagination to run wild. There was tubs of different soaps, containers of starches, and biodegradable plastic bubble-making frames of all kinds. There were air compressors, fans, helium tanks, and even a tiny windmill sitting abreast a tiny moving river on the table covered with teeny models of houses, roads, and mountains. There were stacks of tubes to use, lots of tubes, wide, long, narrow, short, wavy, wiggly, and one of the twisted like a pretzel. There was also an assortment of paints, a desk with sketch pads and pencils and whiteboard that interacted with a laptop computer so that when ready, John could have a presentation on whatever he had invented. And it is mine for the whole summer, John asked, almost not believing it. For the whole summer, Zachary sighed begrudgingly while wiping his eyes. You'll note that there is a lock on the inside as well as the outside. I will whisper your combination in your ear. He leaned over, cupped his hand to John's ear, and said it very quietly. John listened carefully. Cool, he said, grinning with delight. That'll work. Of course it will work, Zachary said. Don't forget it, because you may need to lock yourself in the lab one day. Why would you ever have locked yourself inside? Ashley asked. Zachary laughed out loud. Because some of these inventions have not been perfected and are more prone to cause harm than good. Some of them really should be out of their misery, if you were to ask me. But, he sighed, no one ever does. Teresa decided she would not tell her father about that. Let's keep moving, Zachary said to John. You'll have time to play later. John followed reluctantly. He clearly wanted to stay behind and see what else he could find in his bubble-making lab. Bubbles of all possible passions, Teresa heard their host muttered as they continued their walk. Such a waste of talent. They came to Ashley's laboratory next. Ashley was spelled out beautifully in cursive letters borrowed from former candle shop, flower shop, and fish tropical fish shop that had once occupied his room. Ashley dropped her wagon handle and put her hands to her head in disbelief. This is my laboratory? Mine? It meets with your approval then? Zachary sighed. Ashley was on the verge of tears. It's simply magnificent. It really was. All three children wandered through its aisles. In many ways, the space, as Teresa remembered, it was when it was a fish shop. Aquariums of all sizes lined the shelves, but now instead of fish, the tanks were full of colorful algae. Where there had once been an aisle of fish food and nets, there were bags and bags of powdered nutrients. Along the back wall, there were test tubes, Bunsen's burners, and everything one would need for chemistry experiments. There were all different manners of grow lights, size by size and type, and there was even a giant clay oven where Ashley could cook anything she wanted, even though she was a psychologist and not a chef. Where there had once been a staff break room, there was now a very professional office with a desk and a whiteboard and accompanying laptop like the ones in John's lab. There were neat piles of paper, pens, pencils, and journals for her to record and reflect on her various psychology experience. There were also a giant koi pond in the center of the room with waterfall pouring in front of the ceiling. Beautiful koi of all colors swam among the lily pads that had been placed there. There were plastic dividers in the pond too, so that Ashley could separate different species of algae there as she saw fit. It was beautifully constructed laboratory, and Teresa had told Ashley so. She only hoped hers would be as nice. My parents would be so proud of me to see me here, Ashley said quietly to herself. Zachary whispered her lock combination to her as well. Ashley listened very seriously and then asked him to repeat it so she is sure she had it. Zachary grumbled like he was being asked to move a boulder up a mountain, but he told her again. Come on, he said, let's go to Spider's girl's room and get this over with. They walked past more locked storefronts that it did not have names above the doors. John asked them all, what's the deal with this one? What's behind this door? What about the one over there? But Zachary ignored this inquiries. Teresa began to worry when they came to the stop at the end of the upper walkway. They were now nowhere else to go. Before them was the enormous closed-down department store, Bellstrom's. It used to be a nice store where she and her father stopped for her school clothes every summer. Now it's closed, with a large plastic tarp hanging from the ceiling to cover both first and second floor entrances. Well, Zachary said with a shrug, this is it. And he pulled on the thick rope that was hanging from the scaffolding next to him. The tarp fell to the floor with a dramatic thwomp, and they all looked up in awe. A gigantic, glorious letters borrowed by the old Bellstorm's sign and fancier department stores Headley's from the eastern end of the mall was her name, bigger and bolder than she ever had dared imagine in Teresa. Zachary pressed the animal padlock combination, and the large metal gate that guarded her laboratory began to rise. Parakeets and chickadees flew from the lemon trees outside of its interior was revealed. It was huge, enormous, really. Whoa! Was all Teresa could say, to which John started laughing. Oh man, Teresa, you got the penthouse suite.